Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast with your hosts Bill Algie, Dennis Talbot, and Alan Tate. We are three guys who have one thing in common, a love of rock and roll. Our goal is to talk about all things rock. We hope you find this show intriguing, funny, and occasionally highly opinionated. Enjoy!
Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast. This is episode number 103. 103. And this is probably going to be probably about the first show of the year. And we have on with us today Mr. Mark Cicchini.
Woohoo!
He is
from someone who actually said my last name right. Not an easy one to get. So
he was practicing before he called you. You should have seen it.
Well, you know, if I was on that, remember that old TV show? I can't say old because you guys are all about my same age. It would be like you'd show a baby chicken, so it'd be a chick, and then they'd show a key, and then they'd show a knee bending, so it'd be Cicchini is how it's. Well, what show was that, by the way? Remember that? Was that Concentration?
Yeah, or something.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm not that old.
Oh, don't fake and say you don't remember.
No, I remember it. They had symbols and stuff, and you had to figure out what it was. It was plus this or minus this. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I remember watching it, probably in black and white, but
the only game show I remember watching was Family Feud. No, I'm just kidding.
But anyway, Mark is one of the co-hosts of Three Sides of the Coin, and we're just going to have him on today just to talk about basically collecting and just music in general. You know, we are we like to talk about music in our age, and Mark's right there with us, and you know he's from the Detroit area, so he's got a lot of musical background up there also. And he was lucky enough because of, you know, him being a big Kiss fan. You know, Evansville, Indiana was just like, you know, basically Detroit. Kiss came to Evansville a lot. You know, they were a staple in this town. So we got to see, you know, unfortunately I didn't get to see them for a long time because my parents wouldn't let me go. But they were in the area and they were known very well around here. I mean, they've been very popular. So, Mark, you want to give us a little bit of background on you, but your music and just likes and starts?
I'm 52. Very lucky growing up here in Detroit. I mean, you're really exposed to everything from, you know, the roots of punk were here with the MC5 and Iggy Pop. And obviously before that, Motown, some of the greatest, well, put it this way, some of the biggest selling artists of all time were literally within 15 miles of where I grew up. Eminem, Madonna, Kid Rock, Bob Seger, Grand Funk Railroad, Ted Nugent, Alice Cooper. It really goes on from there. Music was huge here. I always have to remind folks that really from mid 70s to the early 80s, we had WABX, WRIF, WLLZ, and W4. We had 4 rock stations in one city. And for a while there was 5. I mean, rock stations played FM rock, 5 stations at one time. It was absolutely fucking crazy here.
Can I interject something in here real quick while you're talking about those stations? WABX is now the call letters for our local classic rock station.
Is it really?
And when the Kiss movie Detroit Rock City came out, they actually got a letter from the producers of the movie asking permission to use the call letters in the movie. But then they ended up not using them, so it was a moot point.
Really? Yeah, WABX had the X-Pup, which was their little puppy that did. And it's funny, WABX played a lot of Kiss. That was that was the go-to station to play Kiss. They played a ton in this, and this is when I was a kid. I mean, ABX was my favorite station. I guess if there are younger viewers here, you guys missed out because now like the clear channels. If you go to Florida, you get the same music you got here. I'll tell you a story. As a Kiss collector, I traveled a lot with the Kiss conventions. I mean, I went to Atlanta and Orlando and everywhere. One of the things I used to like to do was check out the local radio stations for new music. It was 98 Rock in the Tampa area That was the first time I heard, lots of bands. But I remember one in particular. I remember hearing "Man in the Box" by Alice in Chains. I was on my honeymoon, I think, and I'm like, "This is fucking awesome," And I remember going to the store, and they didn't even have it. They're like, "No, Alice Cooper doesn't have it." No, it's and they were
the other Alice.
Well, my point was, and even going back, I remember going down to my parents' place my grandparents' place in Miami. And I remember, and I was a big Rainbow fan, but I remember they'd play "I Surrender" a lot. And this is like in '82. But I'm like, fuck, they don't play that at home. You know what I mean? It's just, I used to like, every time I track, because I love radio. I don't anymore, and it's because you can't love it anymore. It's the same wherever you go. If there is a rock station, they're playing "Smells Like Teen Spirit." Still in 2017, they're playing "Enter Sandman." Like they got stuck in 1994, and I'm just throwing it. I don't, but it hasn't. It's terrible now. Radio is abysmal.
Yeah, we don't have anything.
It is bad.
Right. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's really hard, and it's difficult. There's some of those new artists out there that are really pretty good. I mean, one of the bands we talked about on the show before is Inglorious from over in Europe, and you're never going to hear them on the radio in America, and I don't know why. They're a great band. The song that the two albums they have out are very, very good, but you're never going to hear them. And we kind of fell into them by just somebody saying, Mitch LaFon saying, "Hey, you need to listen. Check these guys out." So we checked them out, and it was like, wow, these guys are really, really good. But I don't know how new bands are ever going to make it. And we've had this discussion before on the show, and I'm sure you have it on Three Sides periodically. But how do new bands ever going to get broke? Because except for they're going to be broke. Because but you can't hear them anymore. You don't even hear them really on even iHeartRadio or one of those. They're still playing the same old stuff that you hear on the radio. I listened to, in my office the other day, I was listening to an iHeart station called Alt Rock or something like that, and it played the same stuff that I can hear on my radio station driving in. I live in the south of Indianapolis area. It wasn't anything different. I was hoping to hear something new and different. And we need something new, some new stuff. That's for sure. Even the old guys that are making new stuff, you don't hear it. So
right.
One of the things that I think is fascinating is the fact that I thought Van Halen's last record was as good as anything they'd ever put out. Deep Purple's last record was fantastic. Cheap Trick's been putting out great records. Alice Cooper's putting out some of the best music of his career. You don't hear it. I mean, Put it this way, and here's the question. If all these classic artists, the stations refuse to play them, they're refusing to play new bands too. I just don't get it. It's pretty fucked up. I mean,
right.
Where's the next, stadium act going to come from? I mean, is there one really? I mean, after the ones that are out now are gone?
I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, you're not going to. Everybody's going to find new ways because, like I said, you're not going. Radio stations not going to play it. Number one, because they're all basically formatted. They don't even need people there anymore. I mean, they're disc jockeys. They're not going to be this one guy that's going to say, "Well, I'm going to play some Inglorious today just because I want to." They can't do that. They're in a format.
DJs used to do that.
Right, but they can't do it anymore.
Lots of bands got broke.
Right.
They actually had people who gave a shit, people like us that combed through record stores and went, hey, this cover looks interesting, or I read something and sounds interesting. Because when I was a kid, I used to drive across town just to get Kerrang. And the only reason I bought Kerrang is because unlike Circus and Cream at the time, they were talking positive about Kiss still.
Right.
So I would go buy Kerrang, and then when I was buying Kerrang, I'm like, what's this Iron Maiden stuff? I went and checked it out. And it's funny, too, because I still have that mentality that Bruce is the new guy. Because the band I fell in love with was the original band, and Killers in the first record, to me, are still that. And I think if you guys are Iron Maiden fans, you'll get this. Iron Maiden is not a metal band. Not a metal band at all.
No.
Oh, they used to be. But they're a prog band.
Mm-hmm.
They have, 20-minute songs with, 15-minute guitar solos and long faded in and keyboard intros. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, but don't fucking call it metal. It ain't metal.
Yeah, it's not metal.
Now, don't get me wrong, the first couple of records are punky metal. I mean, That's what it was, and that's what I fell in love with. And if you are really honest with yourself, Number of the Beast was, still that, but they just started experimenting a little bit with the proggy sort of thing. By fucking, Peace of Mind,
right?
That whole side too for the whole thing with, Christ,
right of the Ancient Mariner.
About Dune and all this. That's horrible. Right. Don't get me wrong, there's some great stuff on that record. Most of it is great, actually, but there were, I think, one or two songs that really drifted to the prog element and shit. By somewhere in time, they were full on prog. And, really haven't looked back. Don't get me wrong, I love all that stuff.
Right.
My point is, it's not metal. That's all. No. Not in the traditional sense.
And a lot of bands get put into that different. They'll. You hear somebody will say even Kiss is metal. They're not metal. Well,
we gotta be fair with ourselves too. At time, when we were in high school, Aerosmith and Kiss were metal. That's because that's what we had.
Right. Yeah.
Now metal is some crazy genre I can't even keep up with, and quite honestly, I don't want to keep up with.
I'm there with you, man. I can't stand that crap. I mean,
I tell you,
I just can't stand it.
With my son's friend, because my son, who's 25, we go to shows together, and he's brought me to shows in the way that I've brought him to, because he likes Bullet for My Valentine, and a couple of years. Yeah. And they have one or two of those moments, but for the most part, there's a lot of melody in it. But I was telling my son's friend, who's straight up into that, I call it Cookie Monster vocals. I said, you'll never be able to share this stuff with your kid the way I'm sharing my love of music with you guys. And it was funny because one of the things I was doing with them musically is I was showing them or having them listen to stuff like Pieces of Eight by Styx, where their age group wouldn't know Styx other than maybe a couple songs. But if you go to like Queen of Spades, if you guys are familiar with that off Pieces of Eight, and holy shit, that's hardcore hard rock with incredible musicianship. And if someone doesn't show it to you, you're not going to hear it on the radio. There's nowhere you're going to. Some fuck like me's going to have to show you. Right. But there's some incredible music. That Styx did up until although their new record's really good. But there's another example. They put out a record this past year, which is arguably as good as anything they did in the 70s, but who's going to listen to it?
Yeah, I listened to it when it first came out, and that first song, like you said, I was like, oh man, this is classic. This sounds just like classic Styx. But then I don't know, it kind of, there was some good songs on there, and then there were some okay songs. I thought all the Tommy Shaw stuff and that stuff was really good. It's their newer singer. I don't know.
I get it.
Right. I mean, not that I don't like the guy. It's just the new material just doesn't fit. I don't know. I just couldn't kind of get into it. But anyway, what
he meant to say was he loves Styx. He loves all of Styx, and he would like to meet Styx.
Well, I'm going to be meeting him here very soon at that concert.
That's right. To help you out, man.
Are any of you three guys big Styx fans?
Yeah.
I mean, I like them. I don't know if I would say big, but yeah, I've seen them twice, and I've seen them back in the day, and yeah, I like them.
All right, so you're familiar with them, how like an Equinox and
one
of my favorite there, by the way.
Great album. But how that, until they hit like what was the one with Babe on it?
Paradise Theater?
No, before it was the one before that.
No, that was
Cornerstone. Yeah, because it kind of like, that's like Dynasty. Like, it's not bad, but that's not why I fell in love with you in the first place.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So what? So I mean, I know that you're a huge Kiss guy. How did you get in? I mean, what was your first Kiss experience, or how you got into Kiss?
Very first, I can say I've been a fan of the band since the fall of '74. I was 9 years old. I have an older brother and an older sister. And again, we had a ton of rock stations. One thing that I did And I don't know if this was big in Indianapolis or Indiana, where you guys are from. Did you guys used to go roller skating a lot?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember how big a deal that was?
That was a big deal.
Okay. Well, here's the thing with me, and this is kind of what it all falls into. I play hockey. I still play hockey in a men's league. I've been playing organized hockey since I was 4. So by the time I was 9, even for a little fat guy, I could outskate everybody. So I used to really like going roller skating because I could do shit that no one else could do, at least at my age. I remember being the only person in my school who played hockey. So by the time I was, like I said, at that age, and you're also right around that age, you're starting to discover girls and stuff. You're like, hey, check me out. I can fucking roller skate better than anybody, around. So anyways, I really got into roller skating. And the DJs, now keep in mind, this is 1974. Because the very first rock album I ever got was, I kind of had to share it with my brother, but was Bachman Turner Overdrive's Not Fragile. If you guys are familiar with, number one, the title track is one of the heaviest songs ever recorded. It's beautiful. That also had Ain't Seen Nothing Yet on it, and a couple more big FM. And again, that stuff was played nonstop here. So anyways, before I physically saw Kiss, the music I drifted to was BTO, Alice Cooper. I remember requesting Elected, and there was this band called Deep Purple that I used to bug the DJ to play Smoke on the Water all the time. Now, I couldn't put it into words, but I know why I liked it, because it had the dum 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 dum. It had that heaviness to it, and I couldn't, I didn't know that at the time. I just liked, that's the music I like. Deep Purple, Alice Cooper, Bachman Turner Overdrive, and I love this band called The Sweet. That was just like my music, and I was just myself. Again, I had older brother, older sister. They were buying records. I was still collecting Toho Monsters and Universal, but I just started getting music that year. That's year 74. And again, Not Fragile was probably the first record I ever owned. So I was really getting into music fast and furious. And my brother brought home, excuse me, I'm drinking Diet Coke here. My brother brought home Hotter Than Hell. And I'm looking at this cover and I'm going, hey, that looks like the movies I like. Let me put this on. You're like, I remember literally being transformed then. And then after Christmas, because he got that for Christmas of 74. I remember when Dressed to Kill came out, he brought that home, and I remember running my fingers over if you remember, the cover was embossed.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember putting that on, and I'm like, this is what I like. And I haven't looked back since. And then literally 1975, I started a scrapbook. And again, I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it. You were one of those kids. But, it wasn't just Kiss. I cut out articles on Alice Cooper and Ted Nugent and even stuff like Jethro Tull. And anything that was rock, I would start cutting out articles. And I just had this I just liked music. And, next thing you know, I asked my parents if I could get a guitar, took guitar lessons, hurt my fingers.
That sounds familiar.
Started playing drums in the mid 70s. And again, I'm 52 now. So I've been playing drums for over 40 years. Never looked back. And the funny thing really is, I'm perpetually 15 that way. It's pretty cool. I'm wearing a Kiss sweatshirt now. I'm wearing a Deep Purple T-shirt underneath. No, but my point is this, and it's funny, when I first got married, and I've been married, married 27 years next year, and I've been with my wife for 30. I remember her telling her friends, like, well, he doesn't drink and he doesn't smoke, but all this other stuff. No, because it was such and still remains a big part of my life, music and all those things, music and sports. I'm still a crazy hockey junkie. I love sports. Unfortunately for me, it's the Detroit Lions. I'm a Lions season ticket holder.
You ought to be a Colts fan.
Yeah, it's not very fast.
Yeah, you guys at least had something, bright spots. We've had none. Yeah, you've never went 0-16, so I don't want to. Hold on. Not only did you guys not.
No, we went 1-15. We've been we're going to go 3 in the world this year. So yeah.
Yeah, I paid to go 0-16. I spent $50 that year. So.
I just pray that this week they just throw the game. Just don't show up. I mean, we got a chance of getting like second round pick.
Bus breaks down or something.
Those things are still, I still love monster movies. I still like, but see, I always go back to, I don't like the modern day slasher stuff. I'll give me a nice old Toho movie or, something from the before. I don't know. There's just something. Hitchcock made you think. This other stuff. They're slashing people. I don't get it. Yeah. So anyways, that's how I started, and all that stuff kind of wound up. Music was a big deal for me, and remains so to this day. But it's not just Kiss. That's the one part about being on three sides. I always have to remember that I'm talking to a Kiss audience, because I collected, and still musically, I collected probably a couple dozen bands in the same fervor, if you want to use that word, as Kiss. Right. I mean, I have every demo that I know exists from Black Sabbath. I have every demo that I know of that exists from Alice Cooper and Cheap Trick, and that's how I got on three sides. I knew Michael because I went to every Kiss convention, and I mean every one. I never missed any of them. So Michael was there with Kiss Online. So he always asked me about video because he knew I was a huge video collector. And we just talked shop. We weren't like good buddies or anything, but I knew him. And then Tommy was my Cheap Trick guy. If I needed any Cheap Trick videos because he was into Cheap Trick like the way I was into Kiss. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was a big Kiss fan too, but Cheap Trick, or like if you boil Michael or Tommy down, he was a big Cheap Trick guy. So anyways, I knew them on Facebook just as friends, but we weren't like super good buddies. And then I found out that they were doing a podcast, and whatever. I just saw the posts, and then I think it was Tommy sent me something about their one guy left, and I'm like, okay. They're like, would you like to record these collectible things, like a 2-minute thing? And I'm like, sure. And they told me how to do it because I was joking with them. I said, I don't know fuck all about computers, and I still don't. Look, like I said, I own a contracting business, a rental business. I don't need computers. I just need to know how to finish cement and dig holes, and that's what I do for a living. I don't need a computer to do that. So anyways, they asked me to do that, and I did that for a few weeks, and then they're like, well, we can teach you how to get onto Facebook if you'd like. And I did an episode where I was a guest, much like I'm a guest here, and a couple weeks later, they're like, hey, you want to be on the show? And I'm like, sure. But we had to move their starting time because I couldn't do it when they originally did it, because much like you guys, they're time difference for me. So until I was off of work, and then we did it, and that was over 3 years ago. So it's been a lot of fun. That's how come when you guys asked me to do this, this whole thing, podcast, just sitting around with guys my own age talking fucking music. What else is it?
That's been
with us. And that's Go ahead, Dennis.
No, go ahead.
That's been the thing with us the whole time. I mean, we started this really because we were three buddies that like to talk about music all the time, and Dennis and I talked about it, trying to get it off the ground. And Alan obviously has more technical skills in his little finger than Dennis and I do, so he's the one that. But
they don't have any technical skills in my little finger.
Yeah, there you go. But it's the same thing. It's just our whole thing has been, we're just dudes talking about music and whatever else comes up, and it's not I have the Kiss thing behind me, but that's not every episode. That's not what we cover. We cover a lot of different things. And that's the cool part. That's the reason I like doing it this way, is we just don't cover just one band. It just
It always circles back to that one band.
It does. Every episode it ends up coming up.
Is that it? If you guys, all right, I tell you what, let's do round robin. And of course, mine's Kiss. And be honest, all 3 years could be two. What is if you had to do, what's your favorite band?
Kiss.
Probably Kiss. Yeah.
But I don't
like other things though too. You know,
Yeah.
I was a big Kiss fan. Like I said, I'm about the same time, 9 years old. You know, I caught the bug. But, you know, after, say, I don't know, after Dynasty and stuff, I started kind of falling out a little bit. Then Van Halen came in. Then I was a huge, big, you know, Van Halen fan. You know, so it kind of, Kiss was always there, but I got into other bands later on. You know, when I was 10, 11 years old, you know, it was Kiss or nothing, you know. But then, you know, you get to the point where you listen to other things and start liking. And like I said, I did have a falling out. But then, you know, when Creatures come out, hey, that's great again, you know, and Revenge. And then when they got the makeup back on them, you know, that's cool, you know. But
I was still a fan, but you just skipped over all the shit I don't like either.
I mean, it just.
What and this is something I've said on Three Sides lots of time. Look, I bought Unmasked when it came out. I bought The Elder when it came out.
Bought them all.
All the 80s stuff the day it came out. I went to see all those tours. I didn't like them, but I'm like, I know they're going to come back. Creatures, I was rewarded. You know, Revenge, I was rewarded. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes, if you look at the other bands too. I love Van Halen. I can't stomach Van Hagar. Can't just. Matter of fact, I went and saw Van Hagar once. I went the very first tour. Now, keep in mind, I saw Van Halen 1980, 1981, 82, 83, 84. I saw them multiple times. I probably saw the original Van Halen in their original incarnation because they were in Detroit all the time. Mm-hmm. Probably a dozen times.
Wow.
Then I just went to the Van Halen show because Bachman Turner Overdrive was opening, and I was real excited. I'm like, okay. And I didn't like the Van Hagar stuff, but I thought I was going to hear Van Halen music. This is a funny story. I always tell this to people. I went and saw Van Halen. They didn't play any Van Halen. Oh, they played Van Hagar songs. Mm-hmm. The crowd sang Jump. You Really Got Me isn't a Van Halen song. They played Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. They played the Trogs. They played and I think they did Ain't Talking About Love and Running with the Devil. So I saw maybe 2.5 Van Halen songs. It was horrible. Eddie all of a sudden thought he was the Edge and had that jingy, 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 jingy. That guitar tone was fucking horrible. And it was just bad. And I'm like, this is Van Halen. This doesn't I saw Van Halen 12 times in a row. This isn't Van Halen anymore. No. And this is the whole thing. If you guys have seen, I've said this on Three Sides a million times. Timeline is everything. Because if you got into Van Hagar in 1999, or you got into Van, if you were suddenly aware of Van Halen, it's not the same perspective. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing when you bought Kiss Alive and then you bought Unmasked. You're like, what the fuck is this? This isn't something like that.
What happened?
Yes. What the fuck happened?
So these are the same guys, but what the fuck? You know?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But, to be fair, I stuck with Van Halen. I stuck with Black Sabbath through the horrible 90s for the most part. I stuck with Alice Cooper. I tell you, that shit he put out in the 80s. And I'm not talking the early 80s. I love the experimental, crazy shit he did. Because I like stuff like Frank Zappa and stuff like so. I got like Dada, and I got that stuff.
Right.
I cannot hear you. The one who was just talking?
He's muted. He muted himself. The technical guy.
I said, don't you talk bad about my Constrictor album now.
See, Constrictor was 50-50. That's not really because I like the one I like Raise Your Fist and Yell.
Yeah.
It was the stuff after that he was. I call it any hair metal Alice is bad. Poison to me is like the worst song ever. I cannot stomach it. It's my friends and I have a joke when he plays that we turn around so our backs are to the stage. I've been thinking about bringing a newspaper for that. I'll tell you why, because it's everything that Alice Cooper didn't stand for. If you want to talk about, and again, I get it. He had to do to sell records. There's not one thing on that sounds like a classic Alice Cooper song. It's just bad, in my opinion. It's just bad. Hold on, I see who keeps fucking dinging me.
It's probably Mike and Tommy.
It is actually.
What are you guys doing? What are you doing?
You bastard. No, my wife's doing the thing. My wife's yelling at me going, Dennis, the toilet's leaking down here. I'm like, I just fixed the fucking dishwasher. Now I got a fucking toilet leaking.
I got a
No, it is Mike. But they have no idea I'm doing this. I'm just ignoring them. So.
Right.
So can I ask you, going
as many as you got.
Yeah, going on three sides, that change from Mitch, was that for you? Was that a difficult transition? I mean, did you get any? Well, I mean, did you have any?
I knew nothing about the show. I never watched it.
Okay. Well, that's.
I will tell you this, and this is just for if you want to bring up Mitch. Mitch and I, we to this day we talk to one another, but we're both big hockey fans. We talk NHL. Yeah, I like. Yeah.
No, I don't think there was any animosity.
I want anybody who listens to this show, and including you guys, if you were to ask Mitch about me, he'd say the same thing. Oh, he's a good guy, fucking big hockey fan. Right. I ended up getting to know Mitch because of replacing him. We have no hard feelings. I like the guy. He's a good guy. I don't follow. I've never watched any. And again, that doesn't mean that. Please, I don't watch anybody's shows.
Right.
I just know who he is because he's Canadian. He likes hockey, and I lived in Canada for a few years.
Right.
So we've always gotten along well. We've never had a bad word publicly or privately, as far as I know. And to this day, matter of fact, he left something on one of my Facebook posts yesterday or the day before, and I do the same thing with him. So just for the record, he's a good guy. Are we friends? No, I don't know him. I've never met him, but are we Facebook people? We go back and forth. Yeah, he's a good guy. I've never seen or heard anything, and anything that happened between him and the other two, that's between him and the other two.
Right.
Bingo.
It has nothing to do with me. But I'd never watched an episode of Three Sides of My Life prior to being on. And I
didn't realize that.
About the show is because Mike and Tommy were my friends. I didn't audition. I didn't know anything about it. That's another. To be fair, too, Michael saw that on my personal Facebook. I used to post a lot of stuff from my collection, just because I knew I had a lot of Kiss friends, and because I traveled so much, and it was just a nice way to keep in touch with everybody.
Right.
So I'd post like some posters. Put it this way: when I was doing that, posting stuff like posters and whatever stuff from my collection. There weren't the Kiss sites like they are now. Now there's Kiss sites devoted completely to posters and to magazines. And back then there wasn't when I was doing it. And that went on for a couple of years. I was probably doing that 5 years ago. And again, Michael and Tommy were Facebook friends. They saw that stuff. And as I said too, I work a ton of hours. I'm a business owner, so I'm here all the time. I don't have time to sit down and watch a 2-hour show and it's not that it's not good, bad, or indifferent. I wish I did. I just don't have the time.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's difficult.
Well,
so we're going to be.
It's really difficult is doing it every week.
Coming in. Do you struggle with topics too?
Yeah. Well,
is it?
Look at us. We do nothing but Kiss. You got to find out something to talk about Kiss-wise. Well, here's where we're lucky, though. I mean, just because I traveled so much with Kiss, I know a lot of people. Mike worked for them. He knows a lot of people. Right. Tommy did the whole record show circuit. He knows a lot of people. So between the three of us, we know a lot of people. I'm very fortunate that I've been very friendly with the Kiss camp for many years. And so I probably, for me personally, having friends in the Kiss camp, doing all the Kiss events, being a big collector, it's not hard for me to at least talk about Kiss for an hour each week because I have so many experiences. I mean, if I was 21 now and it'd be different. I wouldn't have all those. Plus, too, here's something I don't think is hammered home enough. When I was doing Kiss conventions, hardcore Kiss conventions, and I don't know if you guys went to those back in the late 80s, early 90s, before the reunion.
Right.
The only people doing that shit were the fucking crazy diehards, and I was one of them.
Right.
No, I'm not exaggerating. In 1992, I would drive to New York City, come home, drive to Rhode Island, come home, drive to Cleveland, come home, drive to Toronto, drive to Cincinnati, drive to Chicago, drive to Atlanta, drive to Orlando. That was just the 1992, Kiss convention circuit.
Right.
You don't think I was that's a lot of miles.
That's a lot of
Oh,
miles.
you ain't a shit.
And the cool part was I would see the same people every weekend. And if you do the math on that, and I probably missed a few cities, Nashville was one of them. That was probably close to almost every month there was something going on. So every month I would drive thousands, 1,000 miles or more. I'd see the same dealers. We'd sell the same stuff. We'd trade the same stuff. Now, keep in mind, in 1992, there was no Spencer's crap.
Right.
All you had was the coolest of the cool. And you didn't know it at the time. That was just what you had. You had the Mego dolls and the 70s toys and the 70s posters. And that's all you had.
Right.
And let me tell you, man, in 1995, when they did the official convention, I did about, I think, 7 or 8 of those. I was making incredible money, and they were letting me sell video and audio. I had Tommy Thayer's cell number, and he was just like, come to the show. They needed dealers.
Right.
Because they needed people like myself and Pierre Arquette and, all the other guys who did the convention tour circuit. They needed us because they sold the fans a day of Kiss. And if all they had was their, the mannequins and that was our, what do you call it? Those music clinics.
Yeah.
Right.
What else were the kids going to do, or the people going to do?
Right.
They had people like myself who had video, and we'd sit, and they weren't podcasts, but we'd sit and talk Kiss for an hour at the table. You know what I mean? Hold on, I got a call coming in.
Right.
I'm in my office. Oh yeah, you know what? You travel and you do the entire convention circuit, and you get to know everybody. And like I said, at the original or the 1995 Kiss conventions, Tommy Thayer was calling us personally, going, can you come to this one? Because they needed dealers.
Right.
They needed somebody to sell stuff. I was selling fucking bootleg T-shirts. I was selling bootleg.
Right in front of them, huh?
Well, you know what? Gene and Paul didn't come and look at your table.
Right.
I remember when Andre, do you know who Andre is?
Nah, I won't talk about Andre.
Oh, he's put on a couple conventions himself.
Okay. Well, Andre's a good guy. I like him a lot. I got along good with him.
Andre owes me a substantial amount of money.
Anyways, so I remember him coming over to my table, and we had some people he was friends with, I was good friends with, still am actually to this day. And he took a couple of my video catalogs, and I just kind of looked at him. I said, "Am I getting in trouble?" He goes, "Nah." He's like, "You're a fan, but Gene just likes to see what's out there." Because what he was saying is, in my booklet, and it was pretty substantial. It was a big booklet. Keep in mind, guys, and you have to remind the younger fans, there was no internet. You had to do everything by mail, regular mail,
Right.
and phone calls. We didn't have texts. We didn't have any of that. So I had a couple thousand people by the end of this on my mailing list. I had a, what do you call that? I had a bulk mail.
Mm-hmm.
Stickers. And I'd send out thousands and thousands of these things, and money was great. I'll be honest, but damn YouTube. But to be fair, and this is why Kiss never gave me a hard time, was I put out the latest news. I put out the tour dates and any information that was all free to them. And I was going directly to hardcore Kiss fans. They were getting the latest news from me, and I was getting it from, the Kiss organization. And, 1 or 2 pages were always isolated for just that, talking to Kiss fans. And, here's the latest, audio and video available. So they never gave me, I never had not one word. Well, later on I did. when I helped, I'll just tell you, I had lunch with Gene, and he said to me, no more. He said, you're part of Team Kiss now. So it was his words, not mine.
Right.
He's like, you're part of Team Kiss now. Don't do that. And I haven't since.
Mm-hmm.
And I still collect, but I don't trade or sell or nothing. It's if I get, and I still get. Look at this here. I won't tell you what it is. I'm gonna cover it up. No, I just got it. It's stuff.
Right.
That's another. I'm really into audio and video. Still, it's a passion of mine. Right. Unfortunately, I've been able to have because I've kept a good reputation. If I say I'm going to buy something, I buy it, and that's it, and it stays here.
But Kiss has actually got a hold of you and used, and got stuff from you that they needed. I mean, I know that you've on some projects that they've done. You've been credited.
Gene Simmons Vault. There's only 4 people's names in the thank yous. I'm one of them.
Right. So I mean, it's pretty. You are Team Kiss now.
Well, you know what? You know how you become a member of Team Kiss is you fucking be a man of your word. That's all.
Right.
They asked me not to do it, and I didn't. Exactly. They asked me if they could. Whenever they've asked for something, I've had it or I could help, I've done it. And you know what? I've never asked for a fucking dime, and because I was collecting it because they were so busy living it. So in order for me as a fan to be able to help them with projects, that's the highest honor I have. And it's not about money. I didn't. You know what? This is, I swear to God, on my mother's grave. This is one of and the reason I'm going to bring it up is because Mike and Tommy hate this fucking story.
Spill away, dude.
Yeah.
Start talking.
They hate this fucking story, and they still fuck with me about it. Because it's not just Kiss. This is just how I am. And I'm not waving my own flag. I'm something gray, but I have the same, I guess, etiquette for Kiss as I would for other bands. I play in a band. We're opening for Wasp. And I'm a big Wasp fan. I have all their singles and blah, blah, blah. Now, I know Blackie's kind of a son of a gun. At least I've heard that. Well, their old manager was a good friend of mine and still a good friend of mine. That's how I got the gig. We were opening for Wasp. Pretty cool gig for a local band to have. And I brought this poster that I took off the wall that was taken off the wall back in 1984, maybe. It was Wasp headlining. And then the 2 bands opening for them were this band called Metallica. Have you heard of them? Right. Metallica. And then Armored Saint. So it was Wasp, Metallica, and Armored Saint. It was a cool poster. I just wanted Blackie to sign it. My friend comes back. He's like, Blackie said he's not signing it. And I'm like, now I'm thinking, what a dick. He goes, no, he wants to buy it. How much you want for it? I said, tell him you can have it. And he's like, okay. Comes back, my friend, he's like, Blackie said, fuck you, what do you want for it? I said, what part didn't you understand? It's come off a fucking wall. I didn't pay for it. Mm-hmm. It's his life, not mine. Right. I think it's cool because I love Metallica and I love Armored Saint and I love Wasp. That's why I have it. But it didn't cost me anything. You can have it. Comes back again. He's like, he said, there's nobody in the fucking world that's not going to take some cash for that. What's your problem? This is, honest to God, it's now the 3rd time he's come back.
He could have come himself at some point.
Yes. Well, they're getting ready for the show, too. So, I mean, this happened all within 10 minutes. So I said, tell you what, after the show, I just want 5 minutes of time with him just to talk privately, and that's what I want. Sure as fuck, after the show, I go on Blackie's bus. We go all the way back his room, and he's the nicest fucking person in the world. He's like, you know what? He goes, whenever I want something, which isn't often, he goes, people trying, $5,000, $10,000. He goes, you just are going to give it to me. And you did give it to me. And I explained to it just like I did. I said, this isn't my life. It's your life. You wanted it that bad, you're going to have it. And so here's where it gets funny. So he goes, tell you what, back in my warehouse, I have these posters. It was us and Motley Crue. Motley Crue wasn't even signed yet. It's for a blood drive. He goes, it was whatever, the Wasp, Motley Crue blood drive. He goes, there's probably, I know of only 2 of these posters that exist. Because I told him I'm a big poster collector. I said, all right. I gave him my business address, my card. He was very thankful. A year later, I still hadn't gotten anything. So I emailed my buddy, the manager, and I said, tell Blackie, I said, thanks for the poster. And I was just being a smart ass. I wasn't even serious. I was just, we were talking about something else. Who the fuck? And I didn't have his email. Fucking Blackie emails me back. I'm so sorry. I will have it to you in the next 6 weeks when I get back home. 6 weeks goes by. And again, I'm not mad. I don't care. So then I get a phone call from my buddy. He's like, you going to the show tonight? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, aren't you going to see Wasp? I said, they're not in town. He goes, they're up in Flint. Flint's like an hour and a half north of me. I'm like, it's wintertime. I said, I coach hockey. And I'm like, I have a hockey game tonight. I have to coach my kids' team. Calls me back again. Blackie said, get there now. I said, you know what? I could probably drive up to Flint, pick up whatever he wants to give me, and be home plenty of time for the game. So I go up there. And are you familiar with, are you guys Wasp fans at all?
I mean, I've got a few of them.
Idol or any of that stuff or whatever. Not that, whatever. Anyway, I walk in. They're sound checking. There's nobody else in there, just me. I watched half an hour sound check. Blackie comes to me, and he's like, we just start talking. But he's real serious, real deep and serious. And, I told him how much I liked the first record and, the first one meant a lot to me and, how much they separated themselves from all the other hair bands. And, I want to be somebody, or I love that song. Goes to his guitar rack, takes off, opens this old beat up fucking case. He goes, I wrote the first 3 records, all of it on this guitar here.
Wow.
Holy shit. It's funny. I brought all my singles for him to sign. Yeah. You guys know much about him. He doesn't sign a lot.
Right.
I said, Blackie, I play the drums. I don't play guitar. And you could see this guitar is old as shit. You know what I mean? It's not like some piece of shit he brought to smash on. He goes, this is my favorite writing guitar. I wrote all those songs, all of them on this fucking guitar. And I want you to have it.
Wow.
He gave me it, signed it over to me, and then signed all my singles, and then I went and coached a hockey game.
Wow.
Worth the drive, wasn't it?
And waiting a year and a half or whatever it was.
I hate that story because they think it's boring. And I said, look, that is who Blackie Lawless is. You can read everything you want about him, but he didn't have to do. He brought that fucking guitar on tour just because he knew he was going to run into me eventually.
Wow.
How fucking cool was that?
That's pretty cool.
Story.
Yeah.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah, and it wasn't Kiss, so.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, real quick, I know we're going to be going, and I know you guys are going down to Atlanta. What do you think about Vinny coming out of the rabbit's hole?
Well, I have a different perspective on this. Once again, this goes back to what I said earlier.
Right.
I've met Vinny many times. Right. I sat in 2 occasions, one of them for half an hour, back at one of the Toronto, I think it was the first or second. No, it couldn't have been the first or second. It was probably the third. I think it was, all right, it was probably the 3rd or 4th Toronto Expo. He brought Vinny back from the airport, and Vinny's room wasn't ready yet. And the guy who threw the convention, he was good friends with my roommate. And he's like, hey, Vinny's room isn't ready. Can you stay in yours and Joe's room for, till his room's ready? I said, sure. So Vinny brought himself in our room. It was just Vinny and I. He sat on one bed, I sat on the other, and we talked for a good half hour.
Wow.
Nicest fucking guy, really polite, soft-spoken, and I didn't ask him a thing about Kiss, which is one of the reasons I think he was very talkative.
Right.
Just talked about the world, politics, stuff like that, and didn't mention anything about Kiss, and he signed a bunch of stuff for me so I didn't have to wait in line. Was nice as can be to me, and that same scenario happened about a year later, and it wasn't that I had him come into my hotel room, but he got there early, and I was already set up, and we just sat and talked. He remembered me from the year earlier, and so lo and behold, I have all these other friends who did the European tour with him, and he freaks out. So to answer your question, the crazy Vinny who freaked out in Europe is nowhere near the cool guy that I eventually met.
Right.
And so I don't know what we're going to get. Am I going to get the cool guy that was really soft-spoken and nice and couldn't wait to sign stuff for me?
Right.
He's probably signed a dozen things for me that at the point I was just going, here, sign this, while he was just doing it. Right. And or are we going to get the guy who freaked out in Europe? I don't know.
I'm hoping we get the nice Vinny. I mean, I really like to meet. It's one guy that I have not got to meet, and I'm curious to see. We were all kind of sitting. Do we buy tickets? Is this going to really happen? Yes, we're going to be going down.
Oh, you're going to meet. You'll see me there because I'm.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm actually. These two yahoos are flying. I've got to work that day. I cannot get off, so I'm driving down to Atlanta.
No, you're
6 hours
from the Indianapolis or Indiana area. No, where are you guys from?
We're
all
Evansville.
from Indiana.
Evansville, right. And you guys are.
And Allen's.
I'm at Evansville as well.
And
I'm just south of Indianapolis.
Oh, matter of fact, my company has been working in downtown. My employees have been working in downtown Indianapolis for the last month. Matter of fact, we've got a week left. Yeah, that's how come this today. I was my guy. I told him to take this week off because they've been out of town so long. Right. We're working in that. What's that square? That's where we started. It's
Fountain Square.
Yes, that's where.
Yeah. So you're working? Are you working on some buildings down there?
No. We're doing cement work for I think. Anyways, we're doing they tore up the sidewalks to put in new cell towers. Yeah,
They've been doing a bunch of stuff down there.
Yeah,
it's a cool area.
Yeah, it is. And again, we're doing the cement there. I don't normally work out of state, but that work came up and we took it. So it's funny that see, look at that. There we go. It's weird.
But yeah, I'm driving down, like I said, late, so I won't get dinner till probably midnight Friday night, but then I'll be there for Saturday, and then
I don't know if you guys know this. I have the craziest schedule. I'm going to be down there. I have to leave Saturday night. I'm going to be there all day helping with the expo. We're helping Derek with it. And Sunday, I have my Gene Vault.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna probably have the most unique Kiss fan experience with Vinny on Saturday up close and personal because we're helping with the expo, and then on Sunday I'm gonna be up close with Gene for the Gene Vault.
Is that in Detroit or is it Chicago?
I can tell you're not from Detroit because you say Detroit. It's kind of like people who aren't Italian who say Italian.
Detroit, there you go.
So yes, the Detroit one's the 21st and Vinny's the 20th. So my wife and I are coming in Thursday night. We're going to be in Atlanta all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then we get home at midnight on Saturday night, and then got to be downtown Detroit by noon on Sunday. So I'm going to be pretty fucking tired.
I can imagine. Cool. All righty. Well, like I said, we're going to wrap this up because I know you probably got stuff to do up there and busy and everything. And Alan's he's on lunch break right now, so he's got to go back to work. I'm off all week.
Shut his mouth. We got to go. Well, you guys asked me, so I thought I'd run it. So
we appreciate it. No, we appreciate you coming on. Been wanting to get you on for a while. And like I said, that's what we do. We just basically talk shit. We don't really.
Can you give me 1 minute though?
Sure.
I didn't understand. Did you guys participate in that? You're wearing the shirt for that podcast.
Yeah.
Was that all?
Expo.
It was cool.
Chris Zinzak, you know him from Decibel?
I know the name. I don't.
Okay, he put on this expo in Nashville this summer, and we basically had how many podcasters were there?
23 or 24.
20, yeah,
podcasters set up, and then they had. So we did a couple things down there, but then they had a bunch of people come in. Mark Slaughter came in. just people in Nashville that are musicians came in. Walter Egan came in. Good Lord, help me out.
Toby Wright was there. Toby Wright was there.
Yeah.
There were a couple of producers
Matthew
over there.
McCormack. Get that right.
So they went around to the tables that, if you wanted to interview them. So we got some interviews with them, and it was mainly just for the podcasters to get together and meet each other. And Julian Gill was there, and he was selling his book and doing their podcast down there too. And it was really fun because afterwards we had a when everybody cleared the room, we all brought instruments. We had a big jam session. So we had everybody pick this. Okay, we're going to do this song. Who wants to play what? Everybody had their parts ready, and it was fucking fun, dude. We had that. Cool. Everybody's like, that was the best part of the whole night.
Yeah, I was just because people were asking me, and I know Michael and Tommy about it. We're like, I don't know anything about it. I didn't understand. So it was just all right. So it was just podcast, but they were all different kinds, right?
They were a variety of, but they were all rock podcasts of some type. Okay. I mean, some of them, they were all rock podcasts, and they weren't all just Kiss related. So there were quite a few different ones.
The Cheap Trick one there, and
they had a vinyl. Yeah, and they had a vinyl collector show too. So it was a vinyl collector show, and they had the podcast people that were there. They had the what was the movie?
The Heavy Metal Parking Lot. They had
Heavy Metal Parking Lot. Have you seen that?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So they had the guys that were they had three of the guys that were in the video there. They had a little screening thing for that little piece, and they did some Q&A things and played some. It was kind of fun though. It was cool. Cool to get away. I
didn't understand, like, this is like the Kiss Expo. Vinnie Vincent's going to be there. He's a special guest, and
right.
I didn't understand. I'm like, I did, because again, I always joke about our pie. Look, I sit in my underwear in my fucking basement.
we had pants on that day.
Yeah. Well, today for you guys, they wore sweatpants. So
yeah. For something funny though, I don't know why we did this. Well, we thought it was a good idea. So
I have one here. Hold on. Agree with
it. We wore matching. We all got matching shirts. Like we had polo shirts made with a logo on them, just so we look a little bit nicer. And we were the only ones that showed up with that kind of stuff.
Wearing rock T-shirts. We're wearing these fucking.
So we have these polo shirts.
With our Ages of Rock podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, so people, we got called the corporate podcast, Smurfs, Geek Squad, all kinds of crap. We got all kinds of shit.
Don't forget Blockbuster.
Yeah, you work at Blockbuster. But it was fun. We had a good time.
Look like Blockbuster. You're right.
We just got it, and when we were thinking about it, I was like, well, this will be cool, and we'll have these, and we'll get these buttons made, all this stuff. We get down there, we change, and we're all in our, we're wherever, and then before it starts, we run out to the car and change clothes, walk in there, and everybody's looking at us going, what the hell are those three? I was like, oh Jesus! I was like, then knew.
We did get noticed, and people remember us. That was the main. That was the main thing, and it's a rolling joke now. So
cool.
It was fun. We had a good time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for thinking.
Oh man!
And hopefully I was. And once this is done, let me know. I'll let our folks over at our side if they want to check it out. And
sure,
great. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you in a few weeks.
You will.
Definitely.
Sure, I'll make sure I say hi to you guys too. So
awesome.
All
right, man. Catch you later.
Take us out of here.
All right. Check us out on agesofrock.com. Check us out on Stitcher Radio, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all that other fun stuff. Till next week. Peace out.
See you.
Thanks for listening to the Ages of Rock podcast. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and most importantly, tell all your friends. Remember, you're never too old to rock. Until the next episode, peace out, folks.